Time beckons a destination, ancient, hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town. Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your
They all
game.
switched.
Okay.
I was, you know, we're always auto-hosting someone on Sunday night.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Need to open the Twitch thing again here.
It says he couldn't hear anything.
Okay. Yeah. My doggy meeting soon sleep. I don't know what she wants. I haven't bribed her enough.
He gets the meeting ID is invalid. All right, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna exit and start it over real quick. Maybe he got punted from it, okay? And then rejoin right real quick, okay?
Yep.
All right, we're trying to get Jason on it, and we're having some issues. All right, let me end this.
Hey.
Hope everyone's well out there tonight.
So.
I hope so. Hey, Adam. Hey, Stella. Good to see you. Saturday night. Sunday night. We're on Sunday night. Last night was Saturday night. Yeah. The days are melding together, everyone. I guess we all understand that. You know?
Oh, Gaetano. Hey.
That's good. So. Oh, wait a minute. We got Jason. See if he can come in.
Okay.
All right, you're muted. I see your mic now.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
All right, is this working?
Yeah, we hear you.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, how's it going?
Perfect.
Oh, good.
I don't know. I was trying to cut and paste the number. I went in and I retyped it by hand. It seemed to work.
Good to see you, Stella.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Your sister got a nice pink set of dice, if you heard from winnings from your dad there. Oh yeah, you get it now, Gitana? Yeah. Yes, it's a pink. I'll show you the pink. It's a pink set of Titan dice. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So.
Oh, I thought you were sending those to Gary.
Oh no, that was yeah. This is the second set. These are he's getting them too. This is the last time. Yeah.
No, I meant the pink dice.
Yeah. No, I had two sets of pink dice. Geek dice. Sean got one. A couple from 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Gary getting the pink dice from Thursday. Absolutely. Of course. call it bounce. Last night. I don't have anything. I don't have a new date on that. So this is coming very, very shortly. I took the Kirk and it's coming. So Shantytown Kickstarters are going to be announced very, very shortly.
So when can you showcase it? It's like 6-8 months. Then.
Well, do you remember how I took me? I got Harbortown in 14 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes.
Yeah, I mean Kickstarters like that take a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's with all streams, something weird is going on, and they need to fix it as quickly as possible. Because my guess is, and I don't care, it's not the end of the world, right? Because but my guess is that we lost on Leonard's show. That night it started. My guess is we lost 15 to 20 viewer average that night because of all the issues with Edge that night. Yeah. So they need to get their act together. It's really annoying, but
But they're shifting from WebKit or Microsoft's own render engine to Chrome engine to render.
Yeah, I don't know. So this is where the cool kids hang out, Seeker. I think so. Well, I don't know about that. Anna's cool. Jason's cool.
I tried to. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do our. All right, so if you don't know tonight, it's gonna be an interesting conversation because I hope we get a lot of participation from you out there. But we're gonna talk about starting your own Greyhawk campaign from the ground up. This is by request from a lot of viewers to put something together like this. So I'm excited about this one.
That's 4 very different locales right there.
Yeah, isn't it? And it is absolutely. And I got a lot more. A lot of other fun things. So
now you've never run N1, huh?
Not yet, but I am shortly. Well, shortly means when all this BS is done and we start up our new first level group.
Yeah.
So how often do you start it?
Every 2 years.
Every 2. Oh, so that's like a ritual every 2 years.
Yeah, and I always say, like the last group, I said this is going to be the last group we ever do, and because we're getting old, and they're like, yeah, and then I remember everyone plays 3 characters too.
Yeah.
And it's a pool, and then they're already talking about all the new characters they want to make. So I'll talk about that tonight too. Oh no, that's cool, man! You got the mouse pad from the streaming and technology seminar, which shattered the Len Lakofka record for viewer average for us. That was the largest show we've ever had on Lorca's Number Channel.
I have them start with 3 characters, but that's just kind of contain the character death that goes on in my campaign.
Yeah, well, you don't. You're a big meanie, Jason. You don't let them.
I am.
Anything.
I don't. No raise, no reincarnation.
You're welcome, Bone Shooter. No problem.
It's
No pulling dice or anything.
you are the hardcore tough.
There we come.
Well, I think Carlos almost had a guy die in
Whoops.
character creation.
Wow,
How's that possible?
It's like travel. Like it's too much travel and inflation, then you die in character.
Die in character creation.
Yes.
So that is
That's
just
a-
like
That's a traveler thing.
that
Back
is
in
like
the-
one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life. It's actually
Yeah,
funny though.
Oh
because
yeah,
the
but
other
it's
guy-
one of the things. Travel. Mark Miller had to when we had a seminar. He has to answer the question why he came up with the idea you can die in character creation.
Well, he had a guy who rolled a 5 Constitution.
Yep.
And he got a 1 point bump in creation, but he almost rolled below a 1.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he was in a -1 when he rolled. So if he got that 0, I don't know. I think he would have killed him off.
So that's funny. Here, a quick story. Some of these games. And by the way, I'm J.K. Lorcazumba. Good evening. We have a fun one tonight. I got Anna Meyer and Jason Zavoda tonight,
Hey.
and we're going to talk about creating a Greyhawk campaign of your own from the beginning. I think this will be cool. Now, the quick story is this: a lot of these game systems, particularly Traveler, Mega Traveler, but Mech Warrior had one too for creating your Mech Warrior characters. And it was like the newest edition, and I remember looking, and it just I couldn't. The funniest thing I ever saw was how you do things in your career, and they had one where you rolled random dice and the die roll, and I looked down on the table and all it said was the following. I remember exactly. It said, "Camping trip has gone horribly awry. Consult limb loss subtable." I was like,
Oh, wow.
that was awesome. I
You
was like,
chopped off your foot or your hand or something. Yeah.
oh gosh, I gotta find that. And I gotta post that sometime.
Mhm.
So
That has to go into character creation for D&D.
Yeah.
oh my gosh, the camping trip one. What's up there, Frank? And there, yeah, Bill remembers it because it's a short score and Bill. Bill, you're going to be mentioned at the end of the show tonight with Brian, so hopefully you stick around or not. But hopefully we have a little fun discussing this tonight. Where do you start? Now, I know we got a lot of new people who have asked these questions, and I wanted to be as helpful as we could. And so there are lots, right? There are a lot of different modules, and we're going to tie this in with the published modules. Now, remember, I come from an old school standpoint, but there may be some 5e discussions, and that's 5. And just to prove to everyone that I'm not an old jerk fuddy-duddy,
Oh,
okay,
yes.
I have this. Now, it hasn't been opened, but no, I'm just kidding. I have Ghost of Saltmarsh, so we can actually reference that tonight too. So, Jason, just in general, how many campaigns have you started in Greyhawk, roughly over your course of your life DMing?
The ones that have lasted more than a couple months are this 4, and this will be my 5th that I'm starting now.
Okay. Give me where in Greyhawk have you started them?
Well, let's see. I've had a City of Greyhawk campaign. My first is kind of when I first started playing. I was a player, and we were sharing the GDQ modules.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost him again.
We lost you.
Yeah, that happens.
No.
Yeah, it's one of these. Yeah, when he starts
He
and
was
talks
crystal
for more than 10
clear.
seconds. Oh, yeah, but then he buffers after 10 seconds.
Uh,
Jason,
okay.
and now he's back again. So, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm sorry about that. I
It's
thought
okay. Yeah.
keep it
thought
to 20,
this
30
was-
seconds, Jason. And
Yeah,
then just,
10 seconds.
20
sound
to
bites.
30, and we'll cut in and out. That'll be it.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
All right. I thought this Ethernet would fix everything.
Yeah, it
but
may,
Yep.
it may be still be okay. So you were
Yep.
the G series, and you were a player.
I was a player. But at D series, I started DMing.
Okay.
And those were when they were first released.
Yeah.
And we got so distracted that we actually never made it to the Q series beyond the various planes on the web.
Oh, I love those.
And that campaign lasted for years.
Okay.
Longest running campaign I've ever done, all through end of junior high, right through high school.
Okay. Almost the same era as me.
Yeah.
So roughly in that time frame in the early 80s, early to mid 80s, where you have, that, and it really didn't tie into Greyhawk as much. I know we were just playing them, right? More so with the lore.
Well, we actually got very involved in the folio. We had started our own campaign world. But really, we were pretty young when we started it, and we fell in love with the folio.
Okay.
So we started playing Greyhawk very early on. But really, since it was all tied up, especially in the Underdark, it wasn't very Greyhawk per se.
Right. I got it. Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, because we weren't lore. You weren't probably a lore master for another 10 years when you really got into the depth of it, and then took advantage of and tying in everything. I mean, that's kind of what happened with me too. Early on, we just wanted to run adventures, So
Yeah, but the second campaign was college for me, and that one was started off in Hamlet.
great place to start it off, man. Great place. And we're going to talk about that specifically. I got some details and some pics and everything like that. Fantastic. So you
Yeah.
say 4 to 5 over your course of your.
Yeah, well, each campaign got a little shorter, as far as longevity went, and then the third one started in the city of Greyhawk, and that was kind of my after reading the Gord books and everything.
Okay. And that's what we're gonna chop this up, and then we're gonna take a lot of suggestions from the audience too to help everyone else out. I think this will be a great overall discussion. So Anna, how about you?
I'm writing down, listening. I have probably about 6 major ones that I've done over the years,
Mhm.
and then a whole bunch of shorter ones that I can't. But I have a bunch of the latest one I ran that was very successful in many ways. It was about 3.5 years
Okay.
after I moved to California. It was a Rel Devon campaign set in the aftermath of living Greyhawk when the North Kingdom and the United Kingdom of Alyssa was going to fight over who was going to control where the borders should be and who would control the leftovers after Rossi's and all that. That was the campaign, so to speak, the fallout after the fall of Great Kingdom. So that was
Cool.
set around Rel Devon. That was a lot of fun. There were death knights and all sorts of interesting things there. And then I had one major back in the day during that when I played the Greyhawk Wars, was to defend Chendal in Furundi, and that went on for several years. We had operations behind the enemy lines. We were up in the Vestfi, we were on the plains, we were everywhere and fighting. And there was a whole bunch of demons, and I used things to kill. So that was a late 3.5 adventure that went on like crazy, and they had high levels, and that was a lot of fighting, and we had like big battles, and we had on tables and stuff. That was a lot of fun.
That
And then
sounds like fun. That sounds like
yeah,
such a blast.
yep,
You
that was
know.
fun. We ran it like four times a year and a whole week at a time in the summer. So that was a lot of fun. And we took pictures of the tables so we can recreate it back again in like 3 months or 4 months when we played again. And then we had another one that was a kind of epilogue to the previous campaign, and I called it the Gibbering Gate, when we would go and save some prisoners in IU's top security prison in the Gibbering Gate. That was a 10-session adventure. That was awesome fun. That was a lot of fun. That was a high level event. There were like 15 to 18th level players. We played in Pathfinder 1 rules, and it was fantastic fun.
That is that's cool.
Yeah.
Was that how did it go?
They didn't succeed. They didn't succeed,
Okay.
but they succeeded in the way that they actually got out.
Okay, well
And
that's
they,
good.
yeah, and they succeeded with some side stuff, but it was a miss. But it was a lot of fun, and couple of characters died on the spot and got insane and was simply beyond recognition after the campaign. And so that one was, and that was the most horrifying, difficult campaign I've ever ran. The players were that was really tough. It was more like a Cthulhu adventure in a way, because it was so dark and horrible down there. So yeah, but it was fun, and it was interesting because I did it the opposite way. They actually met some of the big boss at the get-go, and the big battle started the game. So I shocked the players because they thought we were going to sneak in, so to speak. But what they did was that the good side arranged a diversion and had a full-on assault on the prison so they could get in. And they didn't realize it. They thought that, oh, now we are doomed, when they were seeing all this. And in fact, they got 2 silver dragons and a gold dragon helping them getting into the prison. So it was on. They started from a really high level, so to speak, and so they had some help when they least expected it. So that was kind of fun that way, and they got to meet some of the big bosses right off the bat when they started, and it started with some of the biggest, nastiest fight we ever had. And the actual prison is kind of an extra dimensional prison, and the moat is full of undeads of all sorts. And if you're thrown into the moat, you are toast. And so we had a lot of and the nasty black trolls and stuff in there, so they can unleash hordes. If they open the wrong door, you are literally ripped to pieces and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Do you think it was easier using Pathfinder?
Yes, to some degree, yes. It was a little bit easier than 3.5, and it was also a bit juicier because there are some alternate rules and stuff that was magic systems and stuff like that. Planner effects and stuff came into effect quite a bit. So yeah.
So I want to address something immediately that a good friend of mine and Stella Luna and a fellow streamer has just said. City Greyhawk fascinates me, but I'm always a little afraid of interpreting the City of Greyhawk incorrectly because it's such a big deal. That is. You don't. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
there
to,
is
we
no.
have to deal with this.
Yeah.
We have to
I'm trying to right now. And there is no right or wrong way.
Exactly. I mean,
To-
your Greyhawk
Yeah.
can never be wrong. The only thing you can do wrong is if none of your players like it. That's the only
Right.
thing you can do wrong. That's the
Right.
only golden rule. You need to present a cool version of Greyhawk that you like and that your players like. That's the
Yeah.
only thing that counts. If you skip everything that is in the book
Yep.
and still call it Greyhawk, well, then it's kind of not Greyhawk, but it doesn't matter. The important thing is that you get inspired by and you change a few things, and so don't always go by the book. I don't even know if Gibbering Gate is IU's top security prison. I just thought it was a cool idea and went with it.
Exactly.
I know people who just use the map. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't touch
Yeah.
the books. They just took
Yep.
the names and the things from the map.
Yep.
We are going to help tonight, and we're going to get
Yep.
everyone set on a path. All right, and a basic one, and then
Yep.
from all the discussions, you pick and choose what you want to add. And it's a process. It's once again, Anna always says you don't go like this, especially if you're streaming it. You don't go like you go like this, straight
It's a
up.
marathon.
It's
Yep.
it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So and hopefully this will help. And all of us are all available for questions afterwards, including all the great people on the Cannon Fire and the Greyhawk Online Discord servers. Now that there's two going, that are really a lot of great discussion on it, and a lot of people are involved, and we really appreciate that. So I want to start with considerations. Okay, you got to think of, and maybe I'm doing this in the wrong way, but let's for us who know what we're doing, and there's multiple time frames of starting, and I put down 4. All right, and I added 1 because of my own personal touch. By the way, you guys, I'm running 2 cartoon strips. One was done by our friend back in high school, Jeff Moore, and it features Marco, me, Tim, and Walt in it. It's called Adventures Dirty Deeds because it's funny. This one's a little more serious. This is put in. This is the religious one that was put into all the books. I didn't put anything controversial. It's only like 4 slides on this one, but I figured I'd just lighten things up a little bit. Yes. So if you're running the game, it's yours. All right. Time frames 569. Battle of Emerald Meadows. I love that. That's mine.
Yeah, that's
All
a
right.
great move. Yeah.
Yeah. 575, right? And that's a little bit pre 577. That's a good one. 575 to 577 or 576, right, Jason? That era, that one.
Oh yeah.
Pre Living Greyhawk 591, Greyhawk Wars, correct?
Yeah.
Another one.
Yep.
If you want to do it, start one after the Wars. 598, Post End of Living Greyhawk.
Yep.
Okay, they're your options. Secret. Yeah, well, trigger you laughing aloud. That's a good thing. So we always said, no, don't kill Blackleaf right there. So we actually have a drop ship in BattleTech named the Blackleaf 2 because of this thing. So yeah, it only goes on for 4 and then it's off. I didn't put any of the really serious stuff on here. Just a little bit of a chuckle here. So you got some time frame, and we could call it also Gygax eras. Moore era, Sergeant era, Living Greyhawk era. Would that be correct, Jason?
Yeah, well, it's just to say that it would be Gygax, Sergeant Moore, and then the Living Greyhawk or the Mona Hollian era.
Okay. So
And I
you
guess what
so you're throwing Gary in there. I don't even think he's on yet. So
yeah, and I
oh,
think
he
that
is. There, he's on.
oh
He
yay,
heard that shout out. That's
perfect. Yep.
good.
Yeah.
All right, so we're
And I
gonna
think
call.
the diff. No,
Go ahead.
sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say the difference between the eras is how much what you want to be influenced by, so to speak, meaning what kind of Greyhawk material you want to concentrate for your inspiration and build the campaign upon, so to speak. So if you want to have an old box set, then go for 576, and then you
Right.
can throw in a few there. But if you want to have like the Greyhawk Wars and From the Ashes and a whole bunch of other source book that comes in the Sergeant era, then you move it forward a decade or so in timeline, or you want to have taken basically everything that has been published to Greyhawk, then you do it in 598 when you can consider basically everything. And you can always steal from other areas too and still set it in the political situation that was prior to it. And there's even examples
Yeah,
of
and
people going back and played in the realm of Vecna back in like 1,000-1,500 years before of that. So that's possible too.
see, and what I'm thinking of is the primers. It's that you
Yeah.
have the Folio Box 83 set. That's one primer.
Yep.
Then Sergeants From the Ashes is the second.
Mhm.
And then Moore's Player's Guide to Greyhawk, The Adventure Begins is the third.
Yeah.
And then finally, the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer is the fourth.
Yep. Mhm.
Or the end of the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, because there's pre and post.
Oh yeah, there was a little
yeah.
folio thing that was like 64 pages, and then there was the big one that Gary Holy and Eric.
But they came out at the same time, I thought.
Well, a little bit difference, but not that much. But there's one short.
Sorry,
one and one
David,
big
you're
one.
having issues with lag in Canada and the Great White North there, but give you a nice
Yeah.
shout out for your blog. And David's got some real fun stuff going on, including some compilations
definitely.
of Wizards coming. So
Cool.
yeah.
Mhm.
Very
Like
cool.
always comes out with a new thing, like once or twice a week.
Fun stuff, definitely. So for the layman, for the beginner, let's just say you're going to go back to the beginning. You're going to go back to 575. Okay, sound good, Jason? Just
for me,
yeah,
That's a good.
because
that's a good base.
yeah.
I just steal from the rest of it, but I primarily, my campaign after 40 years has just moved on to 579.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And the one I'm starting out now with Ghosts of Saltmarsh pushes it back to 576 again.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm at 5.
So it's perfect. So we're
599. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're right in that era. So we're going to start where the Ghost of Saltmarsh starts for you, and just say basis. You don't have to worry about the wars. You don't have to worry about it's the base Darlene map, the Adam map that we all love too. That's where you're going to start. Let's just say that just for sake of first time.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And as far as availability goes, you can jump to drive through and get a PDF of the folio or the 83 set, and that's generally available to everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to show a whole bunch of Greyhawk ones, and I'm going to show 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that are at Greyhawk that I loved and I did myself, and I put them into Greyhawk, and they're fantastic, and you can place them almost anywhere. So going to add a few, a few. We're not going to go completely cannoneer here. We're going to have a few with them. Like, first of all, we show Keep on the Borderlands and In Search of the Unknown. They're technically not Greyhawk adventures, but everyone's placed them somewhere. Correct? Anna, where do you place Keep on the Borderlands?
Down in Yeomanry. That's not my idea. They had a couple of different, and one there was a list, I think in Dragon or somewhere, where they actually listed a few places where I could put it. And one it's the keep. Hang on a second here. It has a name down there.
Yeah, it's actually on your map.
Yeah, it is, and it's the keep Kendall Keep. That's
Yeah,
the name
yeah,
of
Kendall
the
Keep.
in the module, so to speak. So
Yep.
and that's I can put that in. Meaning, if you look at my map, you can't normally don't find the module names on the map, but you find the places that are in the module in the space. And this is a typical example. So Kendall Keep is the Keep of the Borderlands.
So the original box set came with either In Search of the Unknown or Keep on the Borderlands. And so here's Keep on the Borderlands. It's pretty. I think this is my 25th anniversary edition one. I don't remember because the other one's on my wall. Yeah, it's a basic adventure, but it's very good for a starter it can be placed a lot of places. Now, me,
Yeah.
I had this placed in the Shieldlands when we ran it.
Mhm.
So this
And it's kind of a complete adventure too. It has an overland bit, an underdark, or like a dungeon part, a Stormy Castle part, kind of. Yeah.
so return to the Keep on the Borderlands, place the Katana in the Yeomanry. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
So
it's basically it gives you a home base, and then your a lot of your adventure is a wilderness adventure that is semi dungeon-esque because you go to that valley.
yep, yep. And you go in and you have all these wonderful, wonderful blue. One of the
Oh yeah,
that great
Yep.
map. That
Yep.
map's awesome. All the different
Yep.
levels.
That's one of
Everyone
the.
always wanted to fight the ogre in there because they know all the magic that was in there. Oh, really cool. So Sturges, you're right. All the undead on there's a ton of undead in it. It is classic. So if you want to go basic and you want to start out with something very simple, you got an entire placement setting in the Keep on the Borderlands. You have location, you have goal, and then you can place it. If you want to start in the Yeomanry, great. You want to start somewhere else? Like I said, I started in the Shieldlands. We're gonna try to tie this into some locations because what some of the other things, if you think of considerations, time frame, okay, location that you want to start your modules in and start building a setting around. Because if you're DMing, you want to start building up NPCs, having relationships with shopkeepers, innkeepers, all those things just to start making it come to life. So your location's pretty important where you're going to start because from there they can send out and do missions all across the Flannes.
well
Go ahead,
now
Jason. Sure.
well there's one thing I'd like to. There is a fleshed out version of this done for a version of 1E AD&D. Now, this is a D&D module, but it's like a Holmes basic D&D. Now, there's a fleshed out 1E AD&D version called Hackmaster from Knights of the Dinner Table by Jolly Blackburn.
Okay.
And it is called Little Keep on the Borderland. And it is fantastic.
Okay.
Now, Kenzerco, they did these silly modules based on a lot of AD&D modules. Little Keep is minorly silly, but for the most part, it is just an expansion. It goes into detail about the castle inhabitants. It's the big thing with Hackmaster is they bumped everything by 20 hit points. So you'd start the game, you'd have 20 extra hit points. All the monsters had 20 extra hit points. They also had some really vicious critical hit and fumble tables.
Well, they're always good.
But other than that, it is an AD&D version of Keep on the Border.
Good. That's great. That's great information. Jason, if you could ever link that in chat, where it's available, if it's available in Director RPG or whatever, that would be great.
Yeah. I think Goodman Games also made a new version that was 5e compatible that includes
of detail of Little Keep on the Borderlands.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it.
I also I had a little discussion with Gary this morning about my incident at PAX Unplugged 2018 with the Goodman's Games people. Now,
yes, I heard that.
So I am actually going to discuss a first level module by Goodman Games that we loved in our campaign, and I'm going to show that one, and it's scrolling through, and you'll see it. But yeah, I'm not going to hold grudges for long. I mean, that was just one idiot who told me to F off. So yeah,
I fought with Joe Goodman, so I
sorry, but that was that was over a year ago. That was not last year.
I love these products. I mean, I love what they're doing right now.
Okay. My point was, please, people, make something new. The rehashes are fine. I have all the modules.
Yeah.
But that for 5e, I understand. I understand completely.
Yeah, it's like in the movie business. It's
I understand 100%.
It's a safe bet. Yeah. But I agree with you. I want to see new things.
I want to see new content as well.
Yeah.
All right. So considerations of time frame, location is important. Where you're going to put the modules you start, whichever ones they'll be. And then goals. Now, it could be as simple as treasure and wealth and power, or joining a guild, a thieves guild, or a knighthood. You know what I'm saying? Good versus evil. It could be that, but you want to have some kind of idea as where you want your campaign direction to go. Once again, this is my opinion. Okay, people could do this a different way, but I just think if you have a goal set in mind as to what direction you want your adventuring party and your players to go, it'll help you in deciding a spot that fits what you want to do in Greyhawk. Because there's good places to do certain things, and there's places that you shouldn't be doing certain things in. So there's a dude out there that I know is publishing a lot of new Greyhawk content. We had this talk, Carlos, the other day, and or maybe it was this morning, and I said, you are the only one publishing new Greyhawk content under the guise of changing a couple names, but it's awesome content. And I agree 100% that there should be more people out there publishing Greyhawk content. And also, more importantly, well, as important, more people streaming Greyhawk content. Because right now we have 3, and that is you, me, and Will. And that is it. And we're trying to get more. And that's hopefully what we get some assistance in. Blue Box too, John, will be coming online in about a month. And that'll be 4, which is great. And maybe Stella will be able to do something, even if you do something once a month, on an offshoot, and just work your way into it. So what do you think about that for goals, Jason and Anna, as far as you got to have some goal in mind? As you meander around, then it's just, the location is not.
But the adventures and Greyhawk in general, it's very open. I mean, you can really take most of these modules and very easily run the campaign that as a DM you think your players will like. It's such an open kind of game and setting. Like you can be going after, in one hand, the big evil, or you can be going after golden glory or just basic survival. There's just really so much you can do, even with the published modules.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you'll find this, and this is what I wanted to start with as an example. Once again, this is only me. Thank you, Big Mac, for that. There's that. There's Jason's recommendation on Little Keep on the Borderlands. Thank you so very much for that. This is only a suggestion from me, and that is the following. You'll get to a point where you'll want to start making your own home content and adding it and addending it into Greyhawk settings instead of just running the modules. I've had this discussion on a lot of pages with people that there is no recommended frame. I'm going to run TE1 through 4, then I'm going to run A1 through 4, then I'm going to run GDQ, and that is like what everyone does. No, it's not. It may be cool to do, but it's not. You're running modules then, right? It's great if you want to do that as a storyline, but you really bring your own flair into it. Is what everyone, bring your own ideas, and that's the great thing about Greyhawk. And
I guess it's also the style. If you have a game group and you can't commit to long series of every week or something, then having run just a bunch of cool modules without any real connection might be the way to go. But if you want to build your own version of Greyhawk and really dig into it, then you can do that too. So, but I think it's a good idea to have first a starting point and also have the ambition. Where do I want to take my game in like a couple of years or 5 years or something like that? Where is my dream, where I want to be? And then if your dream is to build your own version of your campaign of the Greyhawk setting in order to ooh and ah your players, you can kind of take building step, run a few modules, study them, and then pick ideas from it and start building your own version of
Anna, can you turn your sound up a little bit or get more?
Sorry, my microphone was.
There you go. Thank you, everyone, for
Yep.
So her microphone was tied up there.
It was tied up in my thing here. So yep. Good. Much better. Yeah, so it's depending on what play style. Sometimes some DMs just love to dig into modules and run them one after the other. I'm the opposite. I read modules and kind of scour them for ideas and details, and then run my own thing, so to speak. Yeah.
Jason, any input on that?
Well, one of the things that you can do, you can always look at a module, and even regardless of what it was starting level and whatever, and strip everything out of it and take it like module B1 that you're showing and repopulate it with what you want. I mean, for a lot of modules that are more things like being in a dungeon or a place or something like. I love Ruins of Undermountain, and I put it beneath the city of Greyhawk, and I start those first encounters at first level. But I can easily put whatever level I want inside those beautiful maps.
Right.
There's some things you can't do. There's some things, modules, adventures that are designed as a higher level thing, and you just can't get away with fooling around with them like that. But there's others that you can just pull everything out and restructure. Now, that might be too much of a step for a very new DM, but it's something that, say, if you're gaining experience and you want to try your hand at things but need some inspiration, that I always found is good, is look at a module, strip everything out. Now, that Goodman DCC line is wonderful for that because they have lots of very cool adventures.
All right, we'll start with that one since you brought it up.
Okay. Well, you go.
I was going to save it from the conversation, but yes. All right. So Goodman Games has a lot of these. All right, and they're available on PDF now. To find the hard copies may be a little bit difficult. We ran this one not that long ago for a adventure group, the Windborn. It's called The Lost Arrows of Aristemis, not Artemis, the deity, Aristemis. All right, this is a really good entry level adventure. It's DCC number 41. It was. So what was the published date on this? It doesn't have it on there. This one has some great unique arrows at the end of it that the party can get. Some really basic monsters, hobgoblins, and some other things in there. But they always throw in, and you're right, Jason, they throw in one or two curveballs in these usually. Goodman did. So, like I said, I can't bash them for other things. There's Ender Caps, some others, and you can start them off at first level in this. It's a really fun adventure with some great prizes. You can see with the glowing arrows in the picture there. I'm sorry, getting a little bounce back on that. Jason, you know of any other ones from Goodman that you would recommend for low level?
Well, Goodman actually has two big books in their DC line, big hardcovers. I've seen them on your shelf, I think, that had a lot of very early adventures. The Goodman designed. My biggest problem was that I'm not a 3.5 player, but Goodman did a whole line of stuff that goes from all kinds of levels. So there are starter adventures that are in the Goodman line. And if you're already playing 3.5, it's set up for you right there. Otherwise, I had no trouble stripping out the rule system and putting in my own, but I do that kind of thing all the time. I'd say if you're familiar with 3 or 3.5, those low-level adventures are probably very good. I had one or two where I thought that the design was a little off, but mostly I really enjoyed the DCC line. But, there's a lot of adventures out there. I mean, the old TSR stuff is new for a lot of people.
Yep. True. So, Secret of Oblivion brings up Idylls of the Rat King, and then there's the Rat King's Revenge later on, and that's a real good one too that we did. You're absolutely correct, Seeker. That was a real good one too by Goodman too that you could play somewhere. Yep. Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing that you should think about. It's modules have one ingredient that is different from the story that is really important, and that's the mechanics bit. Meaning, you can take encounter style, the encounter mechanics, how encounters are presented, and ideas for what type of encounters you can run mechanically. You can take those ideas from modules, and then they don't even need to be Greyhawk, whatever. Just take it mechanically, meaning, oh, that's how to run an encounter that is an ambush. That's
Right.
how to do a city thing. That's how to do a diplomatic negotiation or whatever. There's a lot of these kind of mechanical ideas. You can steal them whole hog and then write your own story around it. Meaning, if
Yeah,
you
like
want to
how to
have it,
do
yeah.
how to do a detective.
Yep.
That's I know that there's either a dungeon module or a dragon module that deals with it, and I think isn't L2 the part of a detective kind of thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That might be, yeah.
Yeah, but L2, you got to get that through L1 before you do L2. If you do
Yeah.
L2 at first
Yeah.
level, it's gonna be,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a
Well,
starter. So for me, this went right with Free City, our Free City of Altamira, the Windborne mercenary company out of there, and I started them off with this and a couple others. Jason is talking about the hardback books for them. There's a green one and a blue one, have a ton, like 15 modules in them each, adventures in them each, Jason, roughly, right? In those books for Dungeon Crawl, for Goodman, I'm sorry, Goodman Games. So that's what you're looking for, definitely.
and before I froze up, I wanted to say that Idols of the Rat King's one of the ones they did a 1E AD&D version
Yes,
of.
they did. Absolutely. They did. And they have a 0 level one too called the Vault of Cesar Row as well. So definitely a good one as well for that.
Yep.
So I placed it near Altamira, of course, because I have a city built, and we have a mercenary guild and an Order of Ulix there, and the campaigns going around that. There's no reason why you can't pick a city and take an offbeat third party that makes sense. There's plenty of locations.
Do you have a write-up on Altamira?
I do. I don't have it. Here's once again, it goes back to I've tried for 2 years to find a commercial artist to do the city up. That's not going to cost me $5,000. And everyone, it's been very difficult. That's been my drawback there, and I really need to get it. I really need to get a map done, a full map of it. That's my holdup for putting it published in the Earth Journal and everything else like that. So, yeah. And there's silence.
Well, no, I've been very interested. I really want to see your write-up there.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So converting, remember, edition-wise, it could be any edition we're talking about in this discussion. It doesn't have to be first. So this is not a first edition discussion. This is all edition discussion. So I'm giving you modules from my perspective on what I would do, and that's why I said there's Saltmarsh and then there's Ghost of Saltmarsh for 5e, and there's going to be some other ones. So if you guys want to bring up some 5e ones as well, that is great. So
and that goes well with talking about the Goodman Games stuff, because like we talked about B2, but there's a B2 that Goodman just released in a big, massive hardcover, and it has the original, but it also has a 5e version of it. And while I'm pushing that old Jolly Blackburn one, I am also saying that, boy, if you're doing 5e, and I've just started breaking into it, and here you go. Here is one of the most iconic starter modules in 5e for you.
True, and it's a way to go for 5e with that. I know those hardback books are not cheap. And for a starting gamer to spend $50 on a book, I know Gary was looking up Isle of Dread's $50 for that hardback. It's crazy. That's a lot of money.
That is. I mean, I've never had to pay that for them, but I can't say that you're going to be able to find them at lower prices.
Right. Well, you could find the old modules on Drive-Thru RPG and download them. That's what I'm saying. But
that's true.
Yeah. So there's options there. So hey, this is good discussion. Getting all these options out there for everyone is a great thing. So, where's Jason's video? That's a good question, Corey, but we won't want to go there tonight. We got Jason on sound 99% of the time. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, we tried video, but it didn't work that well. So yeah.
Not on this Chromebook. It's not going to
Yeah.
work.
So, jeez, would you recommend a super module for rebooting something Storm Giant's Thunder for Greyhawk, or would lots of small modules be more flexible? I think lots of small modules are going to be a lot more flexible. Let me show you what I mean by this, okay? Hamlet. Let's go to the village of Hamlet. The module of all modules, because it has a location, it has a great storyline. And I'm not talking about Temple of Elemental Evil. I'm just talking about Hamlet itself. And then
yes.
leading into, you can say, hey, leading into Temple of Elemental Evil. All right, but let me get this up. All right. So Village of Hamlet is one of the greatest adventures of all time. It was very well written. Village of Hamlet. Okay. I actually I can't find my second copy. I had to pull this off my wall of fame and take it out of glass. All right. So there it is.
Yep.
Now, this is meant to be savored and cherished, everyone. Please. It is. This is what I mean by this. This is, I did a return to series, and this is also at the old house. This is like Bill, what year? 2010, 11, I think. I'm not sure if I had my son yet or not. And that's how everything melds together. And you can see we're at 878 this Thursday. This is number 660. So what I did was the following. I took this setting, I call it almost like a little mini campaign setting. If you're not familiar with Hamlet, the entire village is in this module. All right. And there's the Tower of Rufus and Burn over here, right? And then there's all this, and I'll go back to that. And then I put it on my table, the entire setup.
Who did the calligraphy on the calligraphy? Who did the cartography on that map?
I don't know. That's a good question. We should find out. I don't want to say the wrong person like I did last week with Diesel. So really, but it's from 1979.
That is my favorite.
Yeah.
That I'm absolute favorite village cartography is done for that Hamlet map.
That's the only adventure I've actually run basically as intended. Yeah, the only one. Yeah, otherwise I'd never run any, both because it was early in my career as a DM and also because I liked it so much. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it is a sandbox. It is
it is a sandbox.
Yep.
So the point I was going to try and make is this, and Gary says don't get tied up into one location. You're absolutely correct, but you have to start somewhere, especially if you're brand new to Greyhawk. You got to start somewhere. And Hamlet's one of the best places to start.
And it also depends on you. If you like to run sandboxy campaigns, to limit them geographically is probably a good idea, because that way you can really develop some areas in detail and run the stories there rather than jumping around. But it's different. You might want to go sightseeing campaign where you go to different locations and go from one to the other, and all the travel and the hassle in between, you can just skip over it. Say that now a month later we travel across the country, and now we're over here where this fun things happen. So it's very much up to your style at DM how you run your games.
Yeah, true. Absolutely.
See, I've been busy developing Verbabank as a setting, and you do not even have to have interaction with the temple. The temple can long be destroyed. And there is so much that's going on in that area. It's just wonderful.
There is, and it leads me to an example. Now, first off, guys, you see in the background of this picture, that is the old house. So don't think that Jay had the wonderful basement his entire life. Okay, this is up till summer 2013, and you can see the shit mess that we had in that basement, and it used to leak. Bill will tell you, who's on, and Tim. It was, so we had to, make do as well, just with like all the other riffraff DMing people. Okay, just wanted to show you that. So yeah, I'm just saying, it took a long time for me to get where, this list. Notice I have taken Hamlet and I have run little sidebar adventures throughout. I mean, Moathouse Assault is the 5th Hamlet adventure I have done in this group. The ultimate Open Altamira one was, we took a little break there. So I've done all these different adventures I've tried to expand on Hamlet give them experience to run more, and it's easy to do with this thing. And you can do this with a lot of other modules that are almost sandboxy type. Keep on the Borderlands, you can do this with as well, very easily. And then they didn't get down to Nulb till 667, So and that goes on, and that was the group, the Omega Patrol, the worst named. Sorry, Tim, if you're on the worst named adventuring party in the history of our campaign. So, and that's the party. That's the Omega Patrol. Yes, I see a dark elf figure in the back. Ignore that, Gary. So that's one of Walt's. That's one of Walt's crazies. At least I have a basement. Yeah. So, but that's the whole thing. You don't need to go get the Nulb quickly, then get the temple. You don't need to do that. You can take your time and savor these adventures. And there's people all over that'll help you discuss that.
Yeah, it's not a competition to tick off as many boxes. That's one of the most different things that at least I did over and over wrong in the beginning of my DM career. It's not about taking off places and get the characters to the next thing as quickly as possible. If the characters want to explore and indulge and interact and stuff in the long time, take that as a positive, because that means that what you're doing as a DM entertains the players. They want to stay at that party. They want to explore the dungeon more. They want to yell and scream and have interactive debates with the devil or with the salesperson or whatever it is. If players are happy interacting with the scene you have now, then you're doing it right. Don't try to stress them to go to the next location. If they enjoy it, then stay on it. As long as the players will tell you soon enough and lose interest, that's when you can move on and get the action going, so to speak.
Yeah, in my opinion, you let the players lead.
Yes.
I mean, it's your world.
Yep.
You are everything in that world except the players, and you let them lead themselves right into trouble.
Yep.
But you let them lead.
Yep.
I am not. I will say I am very open to anybody's way of playing, but my least favorite is the railroad.
Yep.
My least.
And
that's something for conventions and stuff like that. When
streamers.
You have 4 hours, or it's exactly when streams, when you play online and have an audience, or when you play in conventions, when you all have a few hours and the players want to go to the conclusion, and then you need to railroad, or when you have like organized play and stuff, when they expect certain things. But for home games and stuff, no, you don't have to. If a situation is awesome, you stay in it.
Yep, absolutely. And let's stay with, as we're going here, let's stay with published source Greyhawk, okay? Let's go to Leonard's Land. How's that sound?
Oh, okay.
All right.
That's a big place.
It's a big place. So, one of the best, and I know it says levels 2 to 5. Leonard explained why it says levels 2 to 5 on Wednesday night in the interview. The Secret of Bonehill L1. And I know, Mike, you got this. Retro Gamer Mev just got this. And this is a fantastic sandbox. Fantastic. Because inside are maps of the area and all sorts of little fun tidbits going on in this module. The Church of the Big Game. Westernford Castle is in here, right?
Ooh.
Okay. Westernford itself. Now, you have better maps now, access to it. All of you do. Leonard has given access to his 575, 576, and 577 Westernford maps, which plus the database of all the characters in it. So if you we sent out that first list, and we're I'm more than happy to give Leonard a supplemental list of more if you want that information. So, Montage.
And there's so much available about it now because of Leonard.
Absolutely, and Leonard was groundbreaking. We all have to admit Leonard. Leonard was just, for his time, was amazing. So I would say that one thing I know, and Lender Isle is a place that, I'm on an island. It's a big place, but I admit I moved Bonehill.
but you moved a lot of the stuff to the areas you like and you adventure in.
We
And
moved
there's
it-
nothing
Yes.
wrong in it. The
Yeah,
only
we-
thing is that then you're stuck there. So if you go to Lendor Isles, you have to come up with something new.
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
so to speak.
Exactly.
That's the drawback with
Yeah,
it. So, yeah.
I moved it to Keeland.
Yeah.
So, but that's okay.
Keep it in mind. If you move something famous from one location to the other, you might realize that the players, when you go to that other location where it's supposed to be, you have to come up with something new. So it might have consequences down the line. But on the other hand, the Greyhawk is such a vast subcontinent that we've all adventured for decades and probably like 100 years, us three together,
Mhm.
and we still haven't even been to 20% of it.
Oh,
Combined.
definitely.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's so much.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, I mean, I've never really done much with the east or the north.
Yeah.
You know, I hear all these people doing these bone march campaigns, and Anna's done all this stuff in the east.
Well,
I-
I had one major campaign in the East, which was the first one
A
for
lot.
me, but it was fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, and for me, I've touched on a lot of other places, but never there.
Yeah.
So this is a great starting point. If you want to go and say, I just want to do a series of adventures and throw in my little content here and there, and it's my
Yeah.
first shot, then Lender Isle's fine.
Yeah, and you have the mini setting.
You got a mini setting.
The island itself is a mini setting.
Plus, you
where
have
can-
L4 and L5 off
Mhm.
of
Yeah.
on Dragon's Foot. So you have
And the real L3.
Yeah.
yeah, Deep Dwarven
I-
Delve.
I have to say, L1 has. I hate that cover art. Absolutely detest it.
Okay.
It threw me for a long time.
Well, I look at it this way. There's always some kind of thing that all of us, there's something you always remember that's a little off, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, and that's your thing, right, Jason? That's your
Yeah,
the cover. So, yes, Tim lost a character permanently in L2, and to this day, I let him know. Tim broke the cardinal rule: never go out on your own, never split the party. So he went out on his own in the
okay.
middle of the night, thought he was being a smartass, and they assassinated him. Yes, it was great. Yes, even Jason can, but we wouldn't have one of the greatest characters of all time in the campaign if he didn't get assassinated, because then he brought in Murdoch the Mighty, the guy with all the 15 different personalities. So there you go. So from bad comes good. So you don't have, well, it's okay, Gary, if you don't have a good grasp on those isles. It was because Leonard said to Gary, give me a place, can I put it? And Gary said, put it, here. And that's what happened. So, and there really aren't, the elf thing is not a Leonard doing at all, right? And he explained, Leonard explained about the Soul. There should be Iridians there, he says, but I just didn't want them. Right, and he said that. But plain as day, which is cool. It's his prerogative to do that.
Well, the rationalization for Soul being there by themselves is great. I mean, it's an island, and it's a perfect reason why they already never made their way down there.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I would, and I'm glad to see, Mike, you're going to do that and have fun with it and just run with it, because it's a great place to start and get your feet wet. And then you can go on to other things after that. Like I said, this is not a sprint; it's a marathon. I've been doing this for 40 years of Greyhawk campaigning. It's a marathon, and you just build and build and build from there. So every weekend you keep that VIP badge up. That's good. That's good. All right, so let's get through these two. Where, Jason, would you put these two, or Anna? Where would you put In Search of the Unknown and Palace of the Silver Princess?
That I have no idea.
Well,
That's for you,
B1.
Jason.
Oh, all right. Well, B1's the first thing I started with. That was, the Homes Basic, module. It was a big shock to our system when it came out, because we wanted everything spelled out for us, and that was, a taste on designing your own adventure. It was a great idea, and originally that was part of my short-lived home campaign, non-Greyhawk.
Okay.
And then years later, where we ended up putting it was on the outskirts of the Bandit Kingdoms, near the Rift Canyon.
Perfect. Toward the Shieldlands or toward the others? Toward Theocracy.
Actually, toward the north.
Okay. All right. And once again, you placed it somewhere. The weird thing about this module, everyone, if you're new to this module, the monsters, you have to place them. They're all blank. I mean, they give you the monsters to do it.
And the treasure.
Yeah, and treasure too. Yeah, absolutely. So, I've never run it, but that's okay.
Oh man, that is such a, for me, that B1, of course, is where we started when we got homes basic, and that entranceway is just such has stuck with me in my mind for 40 years.
Excellent. Well, it's good to see that. I mean, it's a deep adventure. I mean, look, it's got an underground. It's got a lot going on, and so it's not just a one shot. You know, it's a good old classic. I would have to delve into it a little bit more to see where I'd place it. But Bandit Kingdom's great place. Great, a lot of hey, wait a minute. I'm going to do it. Where is it? I was going to say, we have a source book, too. We have a source book somewhere around here for the Bandit Kingdoms from Casey's. So,
yes.
Utilized.
Yep.
That's
I should find that one so I can wave it, too.
Every
it's
show.
It's sitting here up in some shelf, and I have it on PDF, too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Tim ran it for his grandmother. There you go. In Search of the Unknown. That is awesome. So that's cool, Garnett. You're preparing to keep on the Borderlands. It's a great start point, especially if you're doing do it for your family. Okay, I liked this one. Tim's dad, John, who played last night, ran this for Hawk, Gazumba, Fencing, and Leuven. Tim, I don't know if you remember that. The Palace, very, very early on, Palace of the Silver Princess. Gotta be like 82. It was that long ago. This could go almost anywhere as well in Greyhawk.
I've never run it.
Okay, it's good. It's good.
Yep.
I would say Abyssal Grand March, Northern Keoland, Voluna, even Furiundi. There's a lot of places you could place this one.
So what's the basic synopsis of the story? All
right, so it says, not long the valley was green and animals ran free through golden fields of grain. The Princess Argenta ruled over the peaceful land, where people were secure and happy. Then one day a warrior riding a white dragon appeared in the skies over the castle, and almost overnight the tiny kingdom fell into ruin. Now only ruins and rumors remain. So I always like to put them in out of the way places. I always think
white dragon sounds like up north somewhere where it's a little bit cooler. Yeah.
Or the Crystal Mist. That's why I said Grand March, that area,
yeah.
you know, or further
definitely.
south, Sterich, Geoff, Yeomanry. It's all good places. So it's cool. Just another one you could place somewhere and go in that is not specifically placed. So let's get into another specifically placed adventure. Okay, how about we do that? So any other?
Well, I just wanted to mention something that to us might be just very well known, is that the B series of modules is all beginner modules. That was the design for B1 to B12. Everything is supposed to be an introductory style module.
And it is, and it's really simple to convert over to any edition. Basic is easy to do in whatever edition you're playing. It's as basic as it gets. The classes aren't crazy. The monsters are very basic. It's an easy convert for whatever you're doing. So, all right, this one's already in 1E and 5E. Okay.
Well, yeah. Saltmarsh.
Yes.
Okay. This one is on my wall of fame as well. Most of these are on my wall of fame, all the early ones. The Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. So you have two options here. If you're a 1E DM, you have this. If you're a 5E DM, you have it in this. All right, so it's done in both.
But I will say this. I mean, what they're doing in Ghosts of Saltmarsh is something. The original module deals with the adventures, and they have the town as a background, but it's undeveloped. Now, in the Dungeon Master Guide number 2, they used a future salt marsh a few years down the road, and they developed it with a city, a town map. It may not be everybody's original idea of what salt marsh would be, but it is much more developed. It is developed at all, which you do not have in that original U1 module. Now, Ghosts of Salt goes into more depth, and it adds things that you wouldn't normally have in another campaign, like certain races that you play, like the Tiefling and the Dragonborn, and you have to question their sudden introduction into the Greyhawk campaign. But Ghosts of Saltmarsh, besides being a 5e book, it also, the first 35 pages gives you information on the area and the setup for Saltmarsh. So if you take U1, U1 lets you do the adventure, but it tells you about going to that area, but it doesn't give you any information. So even if you're just playing U1, I would recommend, if you're not an experienced DM, of looking at Ghosts of Saltmarsh or looking at the Dungeon Master Guide 2, which I think is the 3.5 Dungeon Master Guide.
Okay.
That has details on the town of Saltmarsh, because Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh is about a haunted house.
That's true.
And it's not about the town.
That's true.
And when you get Ghosts of Saltmarsh, what you get are slightly 5e versions of U1, U2, U3, and other adventures. So you get the whole shebang right there that have been converted in a way till 5e.
Yep. Let's see. Great pick. Mike Schlaze, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
you get
Slate.
this,
Yep.
you get the town map. I mean, I don't really agree with it 100%, but it's better than nothing.
And here's a really even better thing. That's Altamira, because no one knows. One knows where
but
that is.
That's an interesting, because
I know it's your old map, Anna, but there you go.
Oh yeah, but it's what you've done. Oh yeah, that's pre.
I haven't. Because so Saltmarsh, Anna is really done up very well, and
I've adopted. When the Saltmarsh came out, secret. Yeah, then I updated my map to match the books fairly well. So yeah.
So you have all sorts of adventures in this area. You have, as you go down the road, Baldrin's Beacon in this area. You also have Tomb of the Lizard King in this area. And this is actually the southern tip of Keeland. And a lot of people don't realize.
Yeah, the frontier, the
frontier
kind of
period.
barbaric frontier almost, or the very kind of wild frontier of Keeland.
Now, Brian Sublime, my good friend and DM who does 5e streams on Saturday Night Specials on my channel, this is his neck of the woods for his campaign, and there it is. I just linked it. And also there's a little tidbit on this thing, Carlos. If you see this Dun Mounds on the Duntine River, that was added by Anna, and that is the joint adventure that Carlos and I did together at Gen Con. Horror in the Hools, which I just ran.
Hang on a second.
Yeah, this is Anna's map.
Yeah, I was just going to say the Dun Mounds. It should be there.
So the Dun Mounds are on the Duntide River. And kick ass, Carlos, exactly. And I ran that during GaryCon VTT.
Hang on a second. That one is not on the public map. It needs to be.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go, Carlos.
You said, you told me where it was. We put it on your map, and now I'm going to put it on it will be on the revision one.
Oh, see there. Yes. Thank you so very much.
Thank you
I am
for that.
Ass, guys.
So, I'm sorry, Carlos, that I forgot to put it on the public map. So it's going to be. Yep.
All right. So what map is that, Perry? I'm going to tell you where that you can find that right now. Boom. Okay. And Anna's Patreon or the Flanish Geographical Society. Anna is the best there is at our mapping.
I put the link into my website as well.
You give us all a follow.
You can download it.
You get, Anna's once again. I'll do this. I do this every show. Anna's Patreon is the best $5 you're ever going to spend, ever.
Now,
Yeah, and
for
and now
Greyhawk. Yeah,
during
yeah,
the
just
COVID, everything
yeah,
that I post on Patreon is free for everyone. I'm not going to hide anything behind a paywall because there's so much difficulty going around
yeah.
anyway.
Very
But
nice.
on the other hand, literally the money I get from Patreon keeps me doing this. So
Well,
so yeah, so I'm so grateful for anyone who wants to help me pay for my software and stuff like that, licenses stuff, so I can end the time to actually keep doing this. So I don't have to go out and be a UPS deliverer or something like that during this crisis. So yeah.
Josh, can you link Flanish Geographical Society link in here too, please? I don't have that on the shout out. That would be
Oh,
awesome.
I just got a new patron.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
See?
Awesome. Yep.
So go ahead, Jason.
Thank you. Yep.
now let me just add this one thing. Now, you don't necessarily have to be a new person to DMing to run an intro campaign.
True, true.
So
Yep.
I just wanted to say that with Saltmarsh, I run something that I like to call Cthulhu Hawk. And
Oh, that
I
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I add the Cthulhu mythos to my current campaign. And I've done it in the past. And I found Saltmarsh is such a perfect place. If you are running Cthulhu Hawk and you can take out certain things like Sahagin and put in deep ones. The marsh you can have. I have a town in there that is Dunwich.
Oh, cool.
I have all these horrors of the whole marsh that are actually Lovecraftian mythos, and I just found that area is
Oh, second time
Uh-oh.
tonight. That area
Yes.
is
Yep.
something.
Yep. That happened.
All right, so
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cthulhu will return.
Yep.
When Jason returns, I'll stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
Take Saltmarsh, and at least one time, if you're a Greyhawk DM.
sorry, broke
Good.
my 10-second rule
It's
there.
okay. It's okay. Good. You can finish.
Well, I was just going to say it is Saltmarsh. I just want to say is perfect if you ever want to start with a little Cthulhu. It's a great place for it.
I agree. I absolutely agree. If you've never DM'd the Saltmarsh series, even the basic U series or Ghosts or whatever, I think I would do it once. It's a really very well put together story. So that's what I would like to say about that one. So let's show another one of lore that is basically published source. Jay hasn't run yet, but Jay will be running soon. All right. And there we go.
Oh yes, that is a classic.
Against
That
the Cult
is
of the Reptile God.
yeah.
Long time since I ran that one.
Yeah.
This is set in a town called Orlane in the Grand
Mhm.
March.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
another very interesting area where you have a lot of different cool things to
Yeah.
explore. So if you want to set your characters off in an area where you can literally game for decades, that's the one.
Yeah, it has the Village of Orlane within it. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. Now,
Yep.
Jay has I'm talking myself in the third person. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, I sound like an asshole. I apologize. I have a campaign, our every 2-year deal, because my guys, are lucky if they remember to, like they always said, what they had for lunch, a tuna fish sandwich. So we have 19 adventuring groups. Like, that's not freaking enough. So now we're going to do a new group of firsts this year. Now everything got pushed back with COVID. We're going to have this big joust in the summer, and then in the fall we were going to start our newest campaign, and that was going to be in Narwhal in the Wild Coast. And I'm going to replace this somewhere not far from there, so that they
so
can
would you
run.
make it a Wild Coast
I'm going to make this a Wild
Yeah.
Coast location.
Mhm.
All right, and that is also an Easter egg for something to
So
everyone.
northern Wild Coast, Narwhal,
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I love this adventure. I love the idea behind it. It reminds me a little bit, Tim, of the beginning of Dark Tower at the beginning of this, but Dark Tower is much more nasty and higher level. But kind of similar idea behind it. But once again, another good starting published old. I mean, we're going back to early 80s, maybe even the late 70s. This is probably early 80s, probably 81, 82, 1982. So another cool one. Jason, did you ever run this?
Yes, but it's been a very long time for me.
Okay.
I will say, from my memory, it's not Greyhawk per se. It's really kind of shoehorned into Greyhawk.
Probably. Yeah.
Like many other adventures, but that one, yeah, I've actually played as a player in it in someone else's game a long time when it came out, or like early 80s or mid 80s, whenever that was. But so it's a cool adventure. Yeah.
But it's another one that you have the capability of.
Yeah.
You know, it's set right in Orlane, right in Grand March. So if you want to run Grand March, then go to Sterrich or Keoland or wherever, it's set for you in a location, and that is a good thing. So,
Mhm.
and that's one I recommend. So, nice comment, Tim. Let's talk about now, besides all this great stuff that's published, there are a multitude of these, and I didn't want to go crazy with this, so I went with only a couple of them, and that is Dragon and Dungeon sourced modules. And
Oh,
Yep.
sure,
right,
yeah.
right, and so, and I've talked about this one, and we have an old, I think it's number 69, Gabbin, where we talked about these adventures. This is Citadel by the Sea, and is one of my favorites of all time. And it's going to go back to the beginning because I clicked on something. But that is one of my favorites out of the Dragon or Dungeon magazines. You can do it at first level. It's a really cool adventure. I have placed this in southern Keoland on the coast, near Gradsel.
Mhm.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
where I placed this adventure, and it's
What's this basic setup? So to speak?
the
What's the type
basic
of
setup
story?
is they're looking for a legendary spear called
Uh-huh.
Alkarg, the Elf Slayer, and Cromer the Sage is looking for it. And the map, here's the map showing the location. So, you know, if you flip
Oh,
it upside down,
you
y-
flipped it upside down. That
yeah,
makes
exactly,
perfect sense. Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
that's where I placed it, and it's another cool thing. The actual bottom dungeon is shaped like someone holding a spear, which is kind of, a little hokey but cool.
Yeah. Oh,
And
but that's
yeah,
yeah.
it's another fun one to run. And this one after it, the Sword of Justice, is a basic series adventure, which, I mean, you can put this almost anywhere. It's about an elf who's basically been accused of murder, and he gets away, and you have to chase him down. I won't want to ruin it for everyone, but yeah, okay, cool, man. That's good, Perry. That exactly, man. Some of these are gonna bring. I hope you bring back some memories too. This one's a great one. This is one of the 4 of our Dragon/Dungeon magazines on our Wall of Fame. These 2 and the 2 twofold talisman ones are the 4. So I wanted to mention them. This one you can almost place anywhere in Greyhawk as a starting adventure. It's basic. It's not even AD&D. It's basic. It's a basic
Mhm.
adventure, just like
Yeah.
the B series. So, Jason, did you ever dabble with any of these or any of the other ones published in Dragon?
Not the dragons. I've done stuff with the Dungeon Mag
Mhm.
issues, but nothing individual really comes to mind that sunk in. And I really never did much with anything low level from Dragon Magazine.
Okay.
There's in issue 67, there's a higher level module called Fedefensor,
Oh
which
my
takes place
God.
in the astral plane.
Oh,
That is one of my favorite modules of all time. There's also an early module called the Halls of Beodor, but that's
yes.
not a low level one. So, but no, I really can't remember any Dragon Mag low level adventures for me.
Isn't Fedefensor the one where you got to find the Githyanki sword?
Oh yes. Oh,
One of
it's a Githyanki outpost.
yeah.
It is wonderful. I love that adventure.
Excellent. Excellent. Anna, you delve at all in those dragons or dungeons at any point?
I've read them through a lot
Okay.
of them because I had to. I basically what I did every time there was, especially a Dungeon magazine with the adventures, I read them through and see if anything set in Greyhawk. Then I read it through and tried to get the settlements and all the stuff out of it. And
Mhm.
if there was a cool story, I made a note saying that that was an interesting story, so I can come back if I wanted to run something similar as an idea. And so that's what I did. So I've read basically all the Dungeon magazines. I've skimmed through, and if they mention Greyhawk something in the synopsis of the adventure, then I can, or can be set in Greyhawk, then I can use it. And that's probably at least like 1/4 of them or something of the adventures at least have a, some of them are actually set in Greyhawk. Some of them are like can be placed in Greyhawk here or here or here is one the other way they're doing it. And sometimes they can be placed in any setting. It's just a generic adventure. And yeah.
So I want to go over this one because I found this just perusing the Cannon Fire sites, and I talked about it the other day. Gary, I know you gave a shout out to the creator of this, and this is an entry first level adventure. And stay away from Greyhawk City. Kind of a, there's so much detail on it. You don't want to start there, but if you're an experienced DM and you really want to get into a Greyhawk City campaign, this is a great starting adventure. Let me just make sure, see if I have it right on here. It's earlier. Okay. All right, let me flip through here. And that is this. I used this and tied this in. A Case of Measles, an adventure of 5 to 7 characters of first level set in the city of Greyhawk. Now, I tied this in with Expeditions to the Ruins of Greyhawk with a higher level and a lower level group. This takes place in the legendary Great Burn in Greyhawk City in the Thief Quarter in the Old City. So it's placed in an area of published source. It's by Brian Doherty. It's really fun, and I chopped it up into other bits and did different phases of it. And we even had Bill Sashar Scorns on. We even had our Greyhawk Kids group go into parts of this adventure in the Great Burn as well. So I had a lot of fun with it. And if you want to start. I mean, there's the adventure Tears of the Orphanage. It's 0 level. It's in the Greyhawk City box set. It's always a good place to start. But this one is good because you can build up levels and start from first. Just a suggestion of another entry level adventure. And this was done, by someone off Cannon Fire, Brian Doherty. So
I thought so. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a CF download. Yeah,
yeah. Do you know Brian?
probably.
Okay.
I'm not good with names, so.
Okay. Yeah, Forest of Doom's cool. They're all cool. I mean, we had an episode on non magazines, adventures in magazines. We may go back to it and do another one. A.K. Braji, Gary just said.
Braggy, yeah.
Okay. So please give him
Oh
our shout.
yeah, that I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, please give him our shout out and just let him know that we
Mhm.
were talking about it. But if you want to start in Greyhawk City, now if you've watched my campaign, you know the following. We have all different sorts of starting points. We have the Free City of Altamira, we have Hardby, we have Greyhawk City. The Pomarge group that we're doing is kind of like Altamira based, and we have also do some in the Vesery Forest. So we have our set places that we like to do adventuring, and we like to have a city hub somewhere. But you don't have to do that in your campaign. You could start like in a forest. You could start, in the Shieldlands, and with the wars going on, or you could start at Saltmarsh, which is a great starting point, or you could start in Verbabank. So I want to show you some things real quick here and on maps. Then we're going to start taking questions. Yes. How much does one bay? All right. So this is Altamira, done by Anna. This is on the Sis Forest, Principality Ulick, County of Ulick border. Okay, that's one of our starting points for our campaign. And then you have the Free City of Greyhawk and Hardby as another location. Both cities. We love Hardby. If you want to do sailing adventures and you love ships, good place to start. You love pirates, good place to start too, as well. All right, really cool. There's a blow up of Hardby, and now Ghost Tower Remembrances is on this map, but it's not first level. So I don't know of many published source first level adventures, but I guarantee you there's a lot in Dungeon and Dragon and Goodman Games and all sorts of places that deal with ships, that deal with piracy, that you can add in and make that into a Hardby campaign real easily. So this is a good place to start it. Just my opinion, it's also a real crazy place. Because you never know who's in charge, right, Jason? You never know who's in charge in Harvey.
Yeah, and you know, if you're running a Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign, very quickly can you get a seagoing voyage, seagoing campaign started.
Great point.
Mhm.
Great
Yep.
point. Absolutely. This map here shows Hamlet. Okay, it's on the right. It shows Nulb and the Temple of Elemental Evil and the surrounding areas that were developed in Living Greyhawk for Verberblanc. So Verberblanc is a great area to start a campaign. It's all detailed out. We know the Living Greyhawk people of Verberblanc. I guarantee you they would help with details on what's on this map. So Verberblanc area would be a great place to start as well, because you have the Hamlet there. And start with Hamlet and move forward on that map. That's another cool one. And you got Greyhawk. Let me see if I got any other places. Any other suggestions there, Anna, on some cool locations? And this,
I must say that if you want to have a cool city-based campaign, I think that Gary Gygax, he worked on Stoink. If you want to develop it yourself, there's very little set in Stoink. I don't think there is hardly anything, but it's one of these places where it's just, yeah, I can that I would love to develop more, so to speak. It's one of these kind of cities that almost yearns to be developed is Stoink. It's they're one of the metropolises of or biggest cities in the Bandit Kingdoms. So it's an interesting, because you have a good Ernst just south of it. So you can have a good base and you can go there on raiding and spy missions and trade missions and all sorts of weird things. So you can have a whole campaign base there. It's one of these kind of, I think, very underutilized areas that is really cool. That I think could be developed. If you want to dig into and develop something yourself, I think Stoink has enormous potential. And the Gary's Gourd books, I think, is the first or the second book. There is a chapter or a couple of chapters set in Stoink that is fantastic. So that is one I can really recommend if you want to dig into places. And then you have another one is Bone March. If you want to go on hunting humanoids and siege castles and stuff, the Bone March and Spine Castle is an awesome place if you want to develop. There is more to go by in the Bone March and the Spine Castle, because there are some details and some sketches and stuff like that to go on.
Yeah.
And then you can build on top of that to build your own. If you want to go on the war path and you want to have humanoid battles and stuff like that, then not much can beat the Bone March and Spine Castle. And you can either assault it from the south and be more kind of the knightly path, so to speak, or you can take it from the north and you can be the barbarian humanoids that simply say, we're going to beat these others to kingdom come. So there is a northern flavor if you want to more kind of a Viking-esque campaign, or you can go a southern one if you want to have more like the shining knights versus the humanoids. And you can also set it back in history when you have when the Great Kingdom with the good guys and versus the evil ones on the frontiers too. Or you can set it now, like I'm planning to do. If I go back to that area, I will actually set it to be, now the Northern Kingdom is starting to be run by Death Knights and stuff, and they are now gearing up to enroll the humanoids and stuff, and they will go out on a killing spree on the countryside around, and you have to defend the castles in the surrounding lands of Bone March. That will be probably a campaign that I will dig into in 3 or 4 years, and I will detail some. So you might be the last defenders of defending Nerl, or you have to defend Inspa or something against Death Knights and oncoming hordes from the Bone March. That will be something that I'm digging into as one of my future campaigns.
You just said the 2 magic words to get Gary's attention, didn't you, on purpose?
Okay, yeah, I must credit Gary, because it was his articles now in the latest Oath Journal about Death Knights that brought me into thinking about that. So that is one of my future campaigns. After I've done my Shield Dance campaign, that is a campaign I'm looking into. Yep.
Good, Jason.
And Dungeon 148, I just indexed that. I wasn't really familiar with post 2003 dungeon magazines, and So I indexed Dungeon 148. It has the Spine Castle Ride Up and Adventure by Gary, and it's an excellent write up of Spine Castle. The map sucks, but of Spine Castle, but the adventure is great and the write up is great. So if you're thinking about doing, and that the city as described, an evil city that's been conquered by humanoids, and
Yep.
it is a wonderful, wonderful setting.
Mhm.
Maybe a little harsh for an intro, but I think you could do it. It's a wonderful write up. Dungeon 148. Get a PDF or whatever. That is a wonderful write up for it. And I know
Yep. Mhm.
Gary's talking about doing more with it on CF. So I would just say it's intrigued me, and I have never done much up there.
Cool.
Yep.
So, and I don't run a post-war campaign, but I really liked the city write up.
Well, you can do that in any time from the early days of Great Kingdom, when that was the upcoming frontier of the Great Kingdom, all the way up to post-war when it's all fallen apart, and it will be more kind of an apocalyptic aftermath campaign when evil rises from the ashes, so to speak. Kind of so that you can set it in almost any age.
I liked it so
Yeah.
much. I think that even my 576, 579 campaign, that Gary has doomed Spine Castle,
Yeah.
because I really like that write up.
Yep.
Awesome.
So those are the two that comes to play, because I'm both, they're on my mind to run campaigns that way. But there are so many others. If you start, and if you want to go on an adventure to the end of the world, there is always Blackmore, the Cold Marshes, and up there's some nasty, interesting, weird locations up in the north in the Cold Marshes with beholders. There's some crypts, weird artifacts are hidden up there, and stuff. So if you want to go to the end of the world and have a kind of an advent out there, way out in the weird, way out in nowhere, so to speak, then you have the kingdom beyond anything is Blackmore and the Cold Marshes. That's another cool location that way.
Or turn right, and you can have pseudo Viking adventures
Mhm.
with the supposed Sul barbarians.
Yep.
I just there's a lot of rich.
Dope.
Oh, yep.
Bonk, bonk, boom.
Yep. Yep. And then we have, when you can go and look for artifacts and albinos and other weird things out in the Sea of Death, if you really want to go crazy about the kind of going off into
Okay,
some of the worst.
I'm back. Yeah.
Yep.
It's okay. It's okay. You guys have gotten through a lot of cool stuff.
Yep.
Definitely. I want to say this to any of the people who are like a little worried that it's overwhelming. I've always been told, how do you eat an elephant?
Yep.
One
bite
little
at a time.
bite at a time.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Definitely. Yeah.
don't
Yep.
bite off more than you can chew if you're new to it. Don't go crazy with hey, you want to have a grandiose campaign, that's great, but start small, and you
Yeah.
have time. You have time to build it up,
And it's like I do with my upcoming Shieldlands adventure. It will be the first, like up to level 5, will probably be set in one little village in the next 30 miles around it. That's what I plan to do, at least up to level 3. I will not take them more than 10-15 miles away from that little village.
Cool.
And that will be a small sandbox, an homage to Hamlet kind of thing. And then then I will take them maybe 50 or 100 miles away up to like level 7 or 8, and then the world is my oyster, so to speak. After that, and a year and 20 sessions or something like that, then I'll expand upon that a bit. So I always try to limit them geographically to begin with. That's just because I'm running sandbox. I need to develop things and all the details and stuff. So that's why I don't want to let it go off the rails too quickly.
So I saw Seeker of Oblivion you've mentioned Carl Sargent twice. I found these scouring through the B modules, the B series. I didn't know Carl Sargent wrote these.
Oh yes.
So let me get back here. I haven't even touched all the King's Festival, and then the one after this by Carl
yeah.
Sargent. I know they're set for Karamikos, but that doesn't mean you can't
Yeah.
play some in
Ah,
Greyhawk.
Queen's
okay.
Harvest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're basic level ones. There's King's Festival, and then after
They
it's
were
Queen's Harvest. Look, the
they
same
were
as
very popular back in the day when they came out. I remember that, but
right.
I'd never played them, or
I
I don't
never
think
Yeah, I
have
had
never
them
either.
cared
either.
for them, but
So I just want to give at least Carl one shout
Mhm.
out here. Now we haven't
Yeah.
gotten. Go ahead, Jason.
well, I never cared for either of those. But if I have a moment, I'd like to mention
Go for it.
my second favorite module, intro module, B10 Night's Dark Terror.
That's a good one.
All right, you can use this in almost any border area. You could even set it in around Verbabank, out in the toward the forest, toward wherever. It is just an incredible adventure. Um, so I just want to recommend that one. If you want to start with something, it is a Karamikos adventure, but easily changed to Greyhawk.
Yeah, definitely. And there's no right or wrong about putting something that is not published source canon into your game. Trust me, I've learned for the last couple of years being around everyone here that it's perfectly fine. I mean,
Mhm.
you have to make it your own. I haven't talked about this company yet, and I want to because I know we went there, but and I only did one, and there's many of these, and these are I can't believe the amount of content. And this is Necromancer Games. Third edition look, first edition feel, and Mike Merles has done stuff with them. This one's Clark Peterson and Bill Webb. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of big names that worked for this company, and that's the Crucible of Freya. Now, it takes place in the village of Fairhill. I placed another one of these that I placed in Keeland. The unbelievable thing about them back in the day was this is the module. This is the downloaded content that they had that you could add to it.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Okay.
So the extra content is bigger than the module itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was smart and immediately downloaded the stuff right off the bat, knowing that when Frog, once they went under or whatever, and Frog took them over, all those links are gone. So I got
Well,
almost,
Ah,
I
No,
got,
no.
yeah.
I no. What happened is, um, the Frog God is run by Bill Webb, who's a friend of mine,
Oh, okay.
and he was the
Juventus.
with Necromancer. He established it, Necromancer, and Necromancer just wound down, and they did not want to go into fourth edition, so they shut down
Oh,
instead of
okay.
going further. And Bill started up Frog God Games, and he skipped fourth edition. And Frog God is really big now. But it's gone
yeah.
for
Mhm.
it's they've taken all the old Necromancer stuff, and actually he bought the rights to the Necromancer name.
Oh, okay.
So publishes some things under Necromancer and some things under Frog God. Now there is a world of adventures there. I mean, there are hundreds
Mhm.
of Frog God Necromancer adventures that are out there, and it's like opening up a whole new can of worms there. That if you haven't delved into it yet, there's tremendous amounts of introductory adventures and stuff. Now, one of the things that they did was there's this game creator named Matt Finch, who's very well known in the gaming community. He came up with a clone of the original Dungeons and Dragons called Swords and Wizardry, and that
Oh,
allows
that's
them to
Matt
publish.
Finch. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Finch. Yeah, and they did most of their work with Pathfinder 1 and Swords and Wizardry versions. Like one of their big things was this famous dungeon called Rapin Athuk.
Yeah, Mike
Mhm.
Celestian just mentioned it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's huge.
and they took Rapin Athuk and they came out with a Swords and Wizardry version and a Pathfinder version.
Yep.
And that Swords and Wizardry is just old style, like basic, original Dungeons and Dragons that you got in the wood grain and the white box sets. And you can take that and convert it to any kind of 1E, 2E, Metzner, D&D, very easily. So
So
there's a world of, like you're showing Crucible of Freya, there's a world of Necromancer and Frog God games. Frog God, if you haven't really delved into it yet, is an excellent company. But then I'm friends with a lot of guys there, so I'm
so
biased.
so Jason, it sounds like you're going to get me links for some interviews with these guys.
Yeah.
I'll talk to them.
Yeah, I mean that would be great to get Bill Webb and Matt Finch. Is it Matt?
Matt Finch,
Yeah,
Bill Webb.
it would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great to get those guys on. I mentioned this one because I know I built a specialty priest of Freya off of this adventure because my guys liked it so much. So we added Freya into our allotment of specialty priests. And also they have a great other. Like I know Illustrion's is doing Tomb of Babbitt's for that one's great. We've done a whole bunch of them, and I wanted to mention at least one of their entry level adventures, and this is the one I know we had a great time playing. So. But definitely another third-party game. Advanced Adventures is cool. Yeah, Sinister Stroom is good. For some reason, I didn't put any of theirs in as entry first, but I love Advanced Adventures as well, Seeker. I really do. I have every single module that they've ever made. I think they're up to 42 or 43. I have all of them. They're really very well done as well for old school. So a couple more that we have not delved on. And guys, please, that was Finch as well. Oh my gosh, I did not know that. Well, I gotta get him on the show. I gotta get cracking on getting some more people on the show
Get
here.
them on that perfect for a guest for Gabbin.
Yeah, absolutely. So Border Watch and Patriots of Ulick are okay. They're second edition. I put them on here because if you want to do specific to the Furyandi Shieldlands or you want to do Ulick during the wars, these are good to start there. They're not great. They're okay. There's nothing special about them, but they're in on this because they're you could start in a location with these adventures. They're not like top 10 by any means, but they're okay. So that just for specific placements. And then I know there's one more we haven't talked about here. Let's talk about English UK stuff out of the White Dwarf magazine, and that it brings us.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
Yes, the Halls of Tees and Thane, one of Tim's favorites of all time. I love what it says here. Experienced players with characters of first and second level. The adventure should be carefully refereed, which means you could die very quickly in this.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So definitely, Jason, you ever mess with this, or Anna, you ever mess with this one? Man, this is
no, I don't think so.
yeah.
It's an odd adventure. It's loosely based on a Robert E. Howard Conan book. It's a pretty. It's very deadly.
Yeah.
So it's deadly to even higher level characters. So I don't know how appealing it would be to without some alteration. I wouldn't throw it at a new DM.
Whoops.
Oops. Yeah.
He's absolutely right on that. But it's a good if you want a place you could turn into a base of operations, then that's kind of a cool idea for it. Or one that you're going in and out and starting at lower level and working your way up it's a long adventure. So, okay.
So they wrote, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Tim. That's what I said. It's one of Tim's favorites. That's why I kept it because I knew Tim. I wanted to throw one that Tim was one of his favorites. So
he ran it for his daughter. That is a deadly. But one of the things I wanted to mention about it is the Fiend Folio is based on monsters from the White Dwarf.
Yep.
But one of the things White Dwarf did was they included a kind of an adventure that linked these various monsters together. The adventures were mostly showcases for the monsters, but you got some nice low-level adventures that featured new monsters. And what White Dwarf was an incredibly thin magazine stuffed with content and very, very small print.
So they had a lot of content for D&D over the years, or yeah.
Well,
was it a lot of different games?
Oh yeah, I mean, like issue 50 had a Call of Cthulhu adventure,
Uh-huh.
and they had
Yeah.
Traveler adventures, but they were primarily, did a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
Mhm.
Um, they eventually, by 100, decided to go their own way, and they were, miniatures, Warhammer, fantasy role play, and then heavily into their miniatures game. But from 1 to 100, you got a lot of D&D in that magazine,
Oh, that sounds
and a lot
awesome.
of low level stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wonderful, wonderful time just to have some fun with, spanning all of them. Pretty neat. I
And
good.
and issues are still, last I looked, generally dirt cheap. Probably what you'd pay for a new magazine, in the like under $10 range for most issues.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not that. I believe they're not that expensive on eBay either, because the
Well,
value of
that's what
them.
I'm talking
Yeah, the
about.
value
Yeah.
of them has not really jumped up that much. You can get a lot of those old magazines still. It's not like buying a Dungeon One or Dragon One. You know what I mean?
No, it's yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you can get them for a reasonable amount. You're absolutely correct. So some things to like some synopsis. But anyone have any questions out there? Please feel free to ask us. We'll do the best. And the great thing is that once the show's over, you still have access to us. You have
Mhm.
access to the whole community to help. So, oh, cool. So it's Saturday mornings on YouTube. Very, very neat. So let's see. Creature Catalog team has been converting all pre 3D to 3E Echo Hawk, made a full list of monsters and conversions. So if you play Pathfinder, you might be able to. Okay, well that's cool. That's cool, Big Mac. Did not know that. That's awesome. So, and then
Yeah. Thank you, David.
they're doing a tease and thing on Grog Talk. That's pretty neat. I mean, it's just a classic module. So just remember this: sit down, come up with a plan. It's always good to have a plan, even if it's a small, short plan. Think of what you want to do to start. Think if you want to homebrew an adventure. Think if you want to start one of these published adventures and then modify it or use it as a base, and then come up with an area in Greyhawk. Ask some questions. Feel free to do that. There's no dumb question. Always ask. We're all available all over the place. Here, I got my shout out there all over. I'm on the Discords. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'll always attempt to answer every question anyone asks. And there's other people who can help you out, and just come up with a plan and give it a shot and just run with it. Like I said, we need published, and whether it's Earth Journal or whether it's modules like Carlos has been so successful at, whether it's live streamers. I mean, we really could use especially that in those realms. And I'm not just saying that just because I am. I'm saying it because I love Greyhawk so much, and the way to grow the community is to grow the community. So yeah, I'm on Facebook. Yes, I have my own Lord Gazumba on Facebook. I don't want to have a 12 thing long shout out. It just Lord Gazumba. It's a small what do you call it, page off of mine. So I am on Facebook. Yeah. Plus, you can always find me posting stuff on Greyhawk Abides, Sages, under my real name, Jay Scott. So you can always find me there too. So that's not. So let's see what Katana says. One thing is to create is the ecology of an area is look at the encounter tables. That's a good idea.
now,
Absolutely,
let's.
Katana.
I
Go ahead.
wanted to jump to what Big Mac's talking about there.
Sure.
One of my early adventures, of course, one of my early adventures in the city is always like rat catching, but one of my early adventures is always the monster hunt. And that's where they find they're looking for work, the early or adventure or something. And the early adventures are sent out to either look for spell components or they're just out on hunting animals and monsters. And that can be a lot of fun for your beginning adventures. Is to you're just out there doing some wilderness stuff.
Yep.
And that can be it can be a wonderful intro. You can raise starting money for the characters. You can get them, and it's the basis of almost anything you want to do, because if you send them out there hunting, they can discover anything you want them to find. They can find ruins that nobody ever talked about. They can step into a bandit encounter. They can be discovered by elves. There's just anything that you can imagine.
Mhm.
But it's always been a good start for me is the monster or even the animal hunt.
Yep.
Definitely
Yep.
great points.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So yeah, and Gitano says creating an ecology of the area. Sometimes it leads to ideas of what type of ventures may be created there, threats. That's a great point. Um,
Mhm.
and that's one of the things why when you placing a module is one thing and then running with it, but knowing your surrounding area. One of the reasons I love Altamira Gitano is that you have the Sus Forest to one side, you have mountains to the other, you have the Lort Mills, you have all sorts, and it's like a hub of activity in a remote area, and so I can run all sorts of things out
Yeah.
of
And
Altamira.
I think also low-level adventures is also important, I think, to send the characters out in the surroundings a bit, because that gives the players a sense of home, that they actually belong to the setting. If you send them down in a basement or a dungeon, the first thing you do and not talk about anything, then the players need a home, so to speak. They need to have a backstory that fills in and gives them purpose and get them on sightseeing a little bit first. I think that usually, especially players, if you have players who haven't played in Greyhawk before and stuff, then you need to anchor them in the setting a little bit, so they feel like if they want to fight for the good guys, you need to get them acquainted with the good guys a little bit before you just send them out there on a quest that doesn't matter anything. But if you have seasoned players who know everything, then you can send them straight into harm's way, so to speak. Big harm's way, I think.
And you can involve low level characters in areas that are like can be very high level.
Hmm.
One of the things that I started from the Gord novels was this entire campaign that lasted for a long time, and they never got out of the city of Greyhawk. And they
Yeah.
started from the very beginning with this Thieves Guild beggar war that is mentioned in the Gord books. And so I incorporated it into my campaign, and I started a campaign that way. And it's not necessarily even an all thieves thing. In the books, the beggars and the thieves are hiring everybody to fight this war that they can get. They're hiring magic users, they're hiring fighters, so you can take your normal adventuring group of character classes and have them suddenly hired on as mercenaries right from first level and be in the middle of this city adventure, and a very exciting city adventure, and they can learn about Greyhawk from the city,
Hmm.
rather than like learning about it from like a small village like Hom as their base. They can be based right in the heart of one of the central focuses of a Greyhawk campaign, the city of Greyhawk.
Hmm.
Now, luckily, if you're wanting to develop it, you have that box set that I know you love, Jay.
I love it. I know I know you're not a fan of the maps. I love it because the detail on the guilds and the NPCs and it's just so fantastic. And I know maybe I'm biased because I haven't really gotten into the Gord novels like I should, but that's why I love it, because there was nothing out like it when it came out, and it was
No,
really
no,
well
you
done.
can use the Gordon
Hmm.
novels with that. The Gordon
Oh yeah,
novels don't
definitely. Yep.
preclude it at all.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
There are a lot of great discussions going on now. I need to do another shout out. Okay. I need to set this up, and we're talking about this. So please, I apologize, but we have two different Discord channels that everyone should go to. And I need, Gary, if you're on, please link a Discord invite if you can, for Cannon Fire if you so choose. But we have this. So we have our Greyhawk Online Discord and Greyhawk Online itself, and then we have the Cannon Fire Discord and Cannon Fire sites. So I need to program in shout outs for them since we got so much
Hmm.
going on in both. But
Yep.
that's a great place for discussion, obviously, of what's going on and questions. So so we have any other questions? There you go. So there's the Cannon Fire. Gary just linked the Cannon Fire Discord. Uh, it's a great place. There's different types of discussions going on both too, which is cool.
Yep.
So yeah.
And the Cannon Fire website, which is an old style
Yeah.
forum where the topics and the replies are all structured. You're going to be able to just look at them, and they're not like this endless stream that just passes you by. They're there for years. I mean, Cannon Fire's been up for going on 20 years now, and there's tons of conversations and saved files. Like I just recently found that they have a download of Ivet the Undying with page numbers.
Oh wow.
So when I indexed that originally, it was raw data. There was no page numbers, but now I can go back and index it. And there's tons of adventures. And I just got my first part of my novel, Hill Giant Chief, put up there. You can see it on the front page. So I'm going to push it.
Well, that's great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Any other questions? And then before we do some shout outs, see how time flies? We're already almost at 9:20.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great. I hope we helped some of you. I hope we did. And this is just like the first step, because I had a beginning thing coming with another direction in 2 weeks, which I'm going to talk about under shout outs as well. So we got a lot of cool stuff that we're trying to do to help everyone out in the community here. So Anna, why don't you what we got shout out wise? What's going on?
I'm working on the Atlas, the 576 Atlas, and I realized that I've got probably a dozen or maybe even 2 dozen changes that people have told me that, oh, that needs changed and fixing and stuff. So I'm going to do a revision of the map that will be the basis of done mounts will be on it. So yep. So I will be that will be based on an updated and corrected map of the 576. So that's undergoing. That will probably take. Well, I said that I thought that the doing the 576 map would take a month. It took 6 months. So I thought this would be done in 3 days. So it will probably take 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something like that. So, but it's underway, and that will go hopefully not too much. And so I've added a few rivers, and I actually edited the terrain map because there were a couple of things that have been glaring omissions that I needed to fix. So I've done that already, and I've changed and updated probably about 5 or 6 locations so far, and there will be probably a dozen more to come. And for instance, the Cron Hills are part of Furbolmonk. It's one of them. The Red Hand is not Red Hand yet. It's
Right,
just
yeah.
Alhaster. And if anyone has any idea of what Alhaster was, if it was a barony, if it was called itself a principality, or whatever it was called before it became the Red Hand, the principality of Red Hand. So I'm literally, and also it was interesting when I studied it. The Red Hand is an old Flan word that it means red hand, and one of the things I played with that back in the day, I called it the Red Coast because I made the rock red on my map, and that's why it's all the way up to the Rift Canyon. So I made it red just because of those things. That so it's called the Red Coast of Nirdiv, and the cliffs are red. So it's kind of one thing leads to the other. So I kind of lead into it. So I don't have heraldry for the old Alhasters. I was thinking and playing, but maybe I could come up with something. So we'll see.
Excellent.
And so that is coming, and there are a number of small little tidbits that people have sent me that needs to be fixed. I'm going to the Peril Land, for instance. There's one of the cantons that the Vestbergen was not part of Peril Land before, so that was just a wild frontier. So that's going to be fixed too. So that's one thing. And while we've been doing here, having this awesome conversation, I've been working on the topography of the Flannes, the whole continent. I'm going to do the elevation base map.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is coming too, and it's actually fairly well underway. I've done probably about 15% now. So it's not, and that is, it's not a, like I wrote on my website last week on my blog. It's not a finished. It's not something golden that would have every little hill and nook and cranny. That's not the idea. The idea is to do a base map that I can use for future projects. That's the idea from it. So it's a very rough base map, but it is a base map, so I can take bits and pieces, take them into more proper software and really develop, so to speak. So it's one of the stepping stones of the future that I need. So it's some of the essential work. And I thought it was going to be grueling, difficult struggle to do it, but it's not that difficult. It's actually fairly straightforward to do it. So yeah. So that's one of the, and also the ongoing quest to map the planet is underway too. And I've been doing a little bit of tweaking of the continents and stuff. So I'm starting to feel like maybe a month more or something, and we can have the basic idea of moving forward. And I will move that one into the climate and start getting, we get a feel of what the climate needs to be or should be, or where the polar ice cap should be and stuff like that. So that's the it's going slowly into it, because when I post it, I'm hearing that many people yell and scream and say it's horrible. So that's a good start, so to speak. So yeah. And again, thank you everyone who makes it possible for me to do this on such a large part of my time to do it. So it's,
You just hit a milestone, didn't you?
amazing.
Tonight.
Yeah, I just hit a milestone, 250. Yep.
That is awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Great to hear that as well. I really, I'm glad that there are so many people out there that are behind the scenes doing things, and that is one of them. And there's just a ton of them, and the community is tight right now. I'm honored to be a part of it, and just, I know Jason would probably feel the same way. It's probably the most positive things have been for you for a long time, right? As far as moving forward to Greyhawk, what do you think, Jason?
Oh, I think things are in a real renaissance, and
Good.
hopefully.
Oh,
Damn.
wah, wah, wah.
He will be back. He will be back. He will be back. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we got hopefully, Jason.
Yes. Yeah, he will be back.
So Stella, you need to get with me, Stella, and we need to do
Sorry,
something.
I lost that for a second there. No,
Yeah.
what I was saying is we can take where we are now and see it go on to even greater things in the future. Anna's stuff is absolutely astounding. It's never been done before. Her work is just at the top of what we've ever had. And I just think that we have a chance now to really take the setting and do incredible things with it. For myself, my blog has always been very eclectic. It's always been my notepad. If I think of something, I like to put it down. I have at least 100 short write-ups on non-player characters. But what I'm trying to do now, and my current project, is to do something more substantial. So I've taken Mystara Gazetteers as a template, and I am doing a series on the nations. And the first one I'm doing is Blackmoor, and it's my take on it. And it's going to be a big gazetteer that covers all these different aspects of it based on a Mystara gazetteer, like Karamikos or the Shadow Elves or the Dwarves of Rockholm. And
awesome.
I am building Blackmoor, Land of 1,000 Witches. And it is my take. Now, like some people have mentioned, it's heavily based on the mythology of Finland. And Finland is the land of 1,000 lakes. So it doesn't have 1,000 lakes, but it does have more than 1,000 witches. So Blackmoor, Land of Black Ice, that's my big current project, to do something substantial, not just something that's a little bit here, a little bit there, but is structured. And so I'm on part 4, and like you said, I've done big things. I've done a big index, and I've always done it by bite, just building and building. And so these might be short little posts to start with, but they're building, and they're going to build something that is a full-scale gazetteer on the nation of Blackmoor.
Wow.
Cool. Yep.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Yep.
Cool. Well, I'm trying to convince Stella, who does a lot of streaming, that she needs to stream Greyhawk. So I just offered a game for her and her group.
That's good.
Because Stella did play at Gen Con with her dad, and that was so awesome. That was a blast. We did Horror in the Holes, as a matter of fact. So that was so awesome. So we're gonna work on that. I think that would be no problem, Stella. No problem at all. Absolutely. So Jason, that's awesome, man. I can't wait. Plus, guys, Jason keeps that blog going in his Zota Index. You're still making edits to this day, correct?
Not only edits, but additions.
Additions. That's awesome.
Well, I really stopped looking at material around 2003. So there's a vast number of Dungeon magazines, Dragon magazines that I need to add. And then I did not completely get, and there's material like the Return to the Ruins of Castle Greyhawk I never indexed. So there's quite a bit of material left out there. And then everything I did was a first draft. So there's room for tons and tons of reworking the material that's already been indexed.
Mm-hmm.
Jason, you do it's unbelievable. That index is life-saving.
Mm-hmm.
It's life-saving. So, guys, please stay on for my announcements because I want your input a little bit, all right? Because Anna and I have been bouncing something around. All right, so, and we got to figure this out at daytime, but let me get through what's coming on the channel first. So, let me start this off. Hopefully I don't hit any wrong buttons and crash the stream here. Like it's always happened. Wednesday, another great Legends and Lore coming up, everyone. Another one. We have Living Greyhawk people. We just said, hey, why wait a month? Let's do another one. Living Greyhawk, the Sultanate of Zeif or Zeif. I don't know how it is.
Exactly. We don't know how to pronounce it, but
I call it Zeif.
All right, Zeif. We have John Dawes, Chris Slater, and I believe it's Corey Fleigel, all three Triad members coming on Wednesday. We may have a fourth if possible as well. We're going to discuss the Living Greyhawk in that. Maybe some Ernst too, because some of them were involved in Ernst earlier. So,
cool.
yeah. I think it'll be another great Legends and Lore show.
Oh, these are always great with the Living Greyhawk guys.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, and we got to thank Casey Brown who reached out.
Oh yeah, he's the brains the contact person that can get this to happen.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. It'll be a great 2 hour of Living Greyhawk discussion there. So all right, let's keep on moving. We start with a new adventure on Thursday night, Adventure 878. On the Trail, the Huntsmen, which is a group of mostly, not all, but mostly members of the Bounty Hunters Guild in Altamira, are going to be sent on a mission by the Grand Mistress of Bounty Hunters herself, the mayor of Altamira, Charisse, for something of high importance and danger. So it's called On the Trail, of course, a homebrew there, and that'll start out of Altamira. And I am looking forward to running this. It'll be 2 weeks probably, this one, okay, out of Altamira. Ready? I was going to do, and I'm going to save this. We're going to have a fun Gabbin at some point where we talk about old D&D movies, but let's keep this content rolling. I was going to do that if it didn't come to me what I was going to do next week for Gabbin. So we're going to talk about an area that rarely gets talked about but should, okay? And plus I had a new campaign starting up in there sometime. We're going to go to Gabbin 91, the Wild Coast, okay? So let's talk about all the things going on in the Wild Coast area. Narwhal, Varnafane, Lord Mastrine, stuff in the Gnarly, stuff in the Whelkwood, stuff down the coast, Safeton.
That is an awesome Gabbin. Yep.
Thank you. Highport.
Yes. Why the hell haven't I thought about that? That's awesome. That is great. Yep.
So I put two of my favorite references up that have Wild Coast discussions in it, but yes, we're going to go into the Wild Coast on next Sunday.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Well, I cannot wait. So
that
you're both invited back for that, obviously.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
It's one of the coolest, most iconic Greyhawk location areas ever, and it's kind of a forgotten area in many ways, but it is so central to a lot of Gary's work and a lot of campaign setting, and it doesn't really proper country either. So it's a lot of things to cover on the Wild Coast. Yep.
Yeah. Other than the Horn Society, it's my favorite evil area.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for that you guys love that one. I was
Yep.
hoping that. I
Mhm.
need to get on the piazza there, Mac. I really do. I've never been there, so
Well,
maybe
yeah, it's
I need to get on there. So maybe you can
Yep.
direct me to that afterwards. Well, if you're up, if not, we can do it
It's
tomorrow.
one of the
I'd love to
cool
get on there as well.
areas. Yeah. Mhm.
So what about Ulick? You know what? We're gonna get. Let's. This is a good one, man. This came to me. I was like, oh my god, no, we haven't never done a discussion. And 90 Gabbins of the Wild Coast. We need to do that. So that'll be now. The week after that, we've already set up the Gabbin. I'm gonna go one day ahead. Gabbin 92. Okay. The Sunday after that. Beginning with miniatures and terrain. Okay. I'm going to have Bill the Master Crafter on and Brian Sublime on. And Bill's my terrain and minis guy. And then Brian is my 3D printing guy. And we're going to talk about how to get started with just little bits. Start yourself off if you want to play with terrain and with miniatures like I do, like a couple other, like Nightheart Gaming does, not to break the bank. We're gonna Bill's got great tricks on how to create those smoke effects and how to do all sorts of things with household items. So maybe he'll throw out some of his things he's learned. And Brian's gonna show you how to do 3D printing on a budget. He's really good at that. And we'll try and help you out with that. So that'll be 2 weeks from tonight. Will be a little bit more of a non-Greyhawk discussion, but a great discussion on tabletop gaming. Okay, so that'll be 2 weeks. All right, and those are the days I could get them in. Oh, that's a shame Corey left out. Now the day before that, remember this: the next technical Saturday Night Special Greyhawk All Stars game is 2 weeks from last night. All right. I have 5 Living Greyhawk people playing in this game now. And it's the Mongrels of the Putrid Tongue. Are they in for a rude awakening when they come up against the Mongrels face to face? So I have Joe Selby, Casey Brown, Vernon Vincent, Ron Lundeen, Susan Threadgill, and we may have one other. So I have 5 definites right now in for this adventure. I'm running a Greyhawk All Stars one shot, and that's Saturday, May 9th. Okay, so yes, it's going to be kicking live. And we will discuss. We'll discuss this a little bit more next week as well. But the Mongrels have not been on a stream in about a year. I think it's been even more than a year. So we need to really get back and get into some really, really cool homebrew. This is all triad, man. This is all Living Greyhawk triads. Absolutely. This is hardcore here. So led by Casey. All right. So Anna and I have been kicking around an idea.
Mhm.
And we're trying to figure out, we got to do this the right way with dates and stuff, and we got to find out about some things. But we're looking at a virtual Greyhawk Con event over a weekend of some sort. So this is why I'm asking for Greyhawk streamers. We do a lot on my channel. We can do a lot on Carlos's channel, a lot on Will's channel, and a lot. I know Blue Box. I don't think he was on tonight, but he's got some stuff he's going to do Greyhawk as well. So I just want to throw it out there that we are looking to do something, maybe 2 or 3 days. Start small and work bigger, and do an actual convention with Greyhawk only content over a weekend, all virtual, all live streamed. So keep that in mind. Keep that in there. If you have any ideas, throw it our way. I mean, I like to challenge myself. I don't know if it's something more than I can handle. We'll find out. Right, Anna? We'll find out. But I want to do we're doing the research. I have some people who will help as well. So hope you all liked the show tonight. Thank you. Thanks all for coming on tonight. So, Anna,
Yeah, thank you.
Jason, good one? Another good one?
Oh, it's a
I
great
love.
one.
Yeah,
cool.
I hope we didn't overwhelm any of you in that watching this, and because it's delve in there and have fun and be brave. That's the yeah. Mhm.
That's it. I mean, that is. I'm not sure if that's right there, Mac. If you're looking for something,
Yeah, there's no way to play. There's no way to get the setting wrong. It is yours, so you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. So, Twitch is always the my main place is here. I mean, I'm not going to do a Patreon and all, but Twitch is where I hang out at. Cobalt Con is next weekend too, so that's a great point by Josh. And there's a lot of people involved in Cobalt Con, so I don't want to forget about that. I can't with Tim's game this Saturday and then do another Saturday. I can't do 3 Saturdays in a row or weekends in a row. So there's a lot of good games going on with that. Yeah, please, like I said, ask questions of anyone. You can reach out to me. Always, you can find me somewhere. Most of you know you can find me on one of the mediums, and then I'll respond. And if I can't answer a question, I'll refer you to someone who could. Like we had a question, Stolak wanted to know about blogging. I sent him to. I asked David Leonard to help. That's not a problem. There's people to help. So, all right. There's a lot of great stuff going on. That is awesome, Mac. So I'm going to all right, so I need to click on this link right before we're off here to the Piazza right there.
Yep.
Forum. So I think I went to the right one, and I guess got to register here, and I will do that. Whoop, I went fuzzy. All right, so see you all Wednesday night for a great Legends and Lore, and we'll go from there. And thank you all for coming on tonight. I really had a fun time.
Yep.
And of course, we'll do some BSing now too.
Thanks, guys.
Stella, I'll be in touch with you, okay?
Yeah, and we should probably not have a loot fish competition. But I wouldn't mind one, but I haven't got any loot fish this winter. Yeah, that's the
Thanks,
Christmas food for my family. We always have loot fish as Christmas, but we didn't get one this year, so. Well, to me, it's like you eat loot fish, and it's to make the one who can make the most delicious loot fish. That's the idea. You can actually buy it in LA. They have a special delicacy store where they sell loot fish. So yeah. Well, loot fish is actually not that. It's what you're thinking about that is that it's so horrible that we can't eat. That comes from Scandinavia. Is surströmming. That's a Swedish. Yeah, the Swedish. Yeah, that's the one that is like you need a hazmat suit. If you spill it in the kitchen, you need to call in a cleaning crew because that dead body smells much better than that, and that's called surströmming, and that's horrible. Lutefish is a mild gelatinous fish. It's not anywhere near strong or anything like that. It's
There's a sci-fi movie, a TV show that makes fun of lutefish.
Yep. It looks worse, but it doesn't taste very much at all, to be honest. It's more you need to do something with it, and we used to oven bake it, and then you make potatoes and you make a bechamel sauce, I think it's called in English, with butter and cream and stuff, a lot of salt and pepper, and then you mash it all up and you eat it.
I've never heard of lutefish, so.
It's mainly a Norwegian thing on the Swedish west coast, and I'm brought up on the close to the Swedish west coast, close to Norway, so that's why we were introduced to lutefish. So on the Swedish east coast in Stockholm and stuff, they rarely have lutefish, but in the western part of Sweden, yes, just like
There's
Norway.
this excellent show called Fortitude, and they make fun of lutefish on there as being horrible and unedible.
Well, that's surströmming. That's a Swedish up the northern Swedish east coast. That's where they have surströmming. That's basically herring that is set to rot in a barrel for 6 months, and then you put it in a small little metal container, and it rots for another couple of months, and then you're supposed to eat it, and it is absolutely disgusting. Yeah. It's one of the most stinky food on the planet, and it's terrible. So yeah.
Look at that! I'm in already.
Woo!
It's nice to know people.
Yep.
Thank you. Yep, I'm already on, man. That's awesome. So thank you so very much. Aging
Yeah,
not
Tim,
rotting.
Tim has the point that aging not rotting. Yeah,
Ugh.
that's what
Gross.
they say. Yeah,
Really gross.
yeah.
Phew. We'll have a blast next week, Wild Coast.
Yeah.
Well, you got sounds like a good lineup coming up.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, man. I'm just trying to keep it up with the momentum. You know, that's why I didn't want to. You know, the movie thing was like quirky and all and be fun, but there's a lot of locations we haven't even talked about, and that's Wild Coast.
Well, that's going to be a Gabbin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Gabbin, absolutely.
That's perfect. That's
because
perfect.
it's all, you know, I want to talk about campaign stuff going on there too, you know, and I try not to do that as much on Legends and Lore. You know, try to keep,
You know, I mean, the Legends and Lore it's geared toward one thing, and Gabbin is a little more free form.
Yeah, exactly. They both work very, very well. Raid? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I forgot the raid.
All right, well, let's
Raid,
just
you
try
want to raid.
this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you know what we're gonna do? Realmsmith. I'm sorry.
You don't like Realmsmith that
I
much?
don't care. Yeah, Realmsmith.
I don't know who that is, so I can't
Realmsmith
say.
and D&D. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say.
I can't
Realmsmith
say
and
anything.
D&D co-stream stuff all the time, and All Dragon's not on. I was even going to jump in and go over to see Skagith because he's such a supporter of the channel. He's on.
Yeah.
Tabletop Notch is on. You know, just. All Dragon's not on. He is not on. He usually doesn't go this late at night. So, yeah, I'm gonna do. You know, the Swede is. I'm gonna just do it. Why not? Skagith's a good guy, man. I mean,
he's great.
It's like 4 o'clock in the morning there.
Oh,
so
yeah,
what the hell is he doing? You know, I'm interested.
I
to
guess
see what
he's
doing.
isolation like the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean. It's like
he's sitting at home.
Yeah, he's
like
probably
the
just
rest of the
chatting up
world.
some stuff. So we're gonna raid into him.
That's perfect.
Why not?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the suggestion. I always forget. Thank you for the suggestion. All right, good. We got a fair amount here. He'll be like shocked. He's such a good guy.
Yeah.
All right, let me get over to the channel here.